If anybody's missing on the sheet, please make sure you do look at the sheet so that we can get you added to the start list. Anybody missing? Raise your hand, flap around, make lots of noise. Otherwise, we will take your silence as meaning you saw your name. All right, everybody, please meet Coach Barman at the bottom of the stairs behind the judges stand for a quick rider meeting. All riders to the bottom of the judges stand for a rider meeting. All right, so let's get Michael Tharp, Max Ostrike, and Michael Gibson. You are our first three riders. So Michael Tharp, you're up. Max, you're on deck. And Michael, you're in the hole. Two minutes. We've been told you have 2 minutes to spin around the warm-up track and then report to Steve Hill. All right, Michael Tharp, please report to the start. Michael, please report to the start. Sorry, Michael Tharp, not Michael Gibson. Sorry, Michael. Michael. Two Michaels don't make a Wayne. All right, and Michael Tharp on the track. Our first rider off. And Michael Tharp, a good example. He's been racing here at the Dick Lane Velodrome for a while, so he's a good example to follow here as to how to ride a 200 meter at the Dick Lane Velodrome. And Michael, regardless of how he finishes, will have the fastest time of the day. The benefit of going first. And 13.0045 for Michael Tharp as Max Ostrike and don't be fooled by those spindly looking legs. Max can put out quite a lot of power. Comes from a family of fast bike racers. And 13.63 for Max. And Michael Gibson out on the track now. We've got Johnny Delbridge up, then Josh Myers, Julian Rue. Please be ready. After Julian, Lamon Wright, Jenna Davis, and Amelia Hicks. So if you hear your name, please get ready to go. And Michael Gibson with a 14.12. So Michael Tharp still holding down the fastest time. And Johnny Rhodes Delbridge winds up for his sprint, one half of the junior duo. And 13.13 for Johnny. So just slots into second place in the current standings. And Josh Myers out on the track right now. Julian Rue, you're up next. Then Lamon, then Jenna, and Amelia. And Josh pushing hard out of turn 2. And looking strong, keeping it under the black line all the way to the line. For 13.25. And Julian Rue, the second half of the junior duo with Johnny Rose Delbridge. So known as junior because both of their initials say that. And Julian double barrel starting right there, not to be confused later on in the evening with double barrel Daryl. And Julian trying to stay on top of that gear all the way to the line with a 13.65. And Lemon right. And after Amelia, Annalise Ostrike, Sophie Zentz, Trish Alberts, Christina Pinella. And Lemin with a strong start up high, following the proper line all the way down to turn 3. So he hits the corner just perfectly. This might get us into a new fast time. It does indeed, 12.47 for your new fast time. Lemin rode the absolutely perfect line out of turn 2, across the tape, and then slowly easing down into turn 3. That is a proper technique for the DLV 200. And Jenna Davis winding it up. And Jenna also with a very excellent line down to turn 3. You can tell they work closely with the development coaches down here in East Point. And 13.69 time for Jenna Davis. As we have Amelia Hicks out on track now. So after Amelia, we have Annalise, Sophie, Trish, Christina, Rachel McKinnon. And Amelia Hicks starting her wind up. Staying high, and then dropping down into 3. And a 15.38 for Amelia Hicks. 15.38. And just informed that 13.69 is a junior women's track record for the DLV. So congrats to Jenna. As Annalise Ostrike on the track now. And 14 flat for Annalise Ostrike. And Sophie Zentz winding it up right now. We could see a good time from Sophie as well. Winding up. And Sophie launches. And she drives into turn 3. Looking strong, keeping it down under the red line in the sprinter's lane. Nice and smooth, pushing everything she has into it. And 14.62 for Sophie. And Trish Albert is out on the track now. Christina Pinella next. Rachel McKinnon follows her. Gary Morgan, Elvis Martinez, Nicholas Leonard. You all are coming up shortly, so please be ready. And Trish Albert starting her 200 time. Trish, a veteran of the local cycling scene, runs the event listing website, saddlebred.com. with a nice and smooth time, 15.63. And this is Christina Pinella out on track right now. So Gary Morgan, Elvis Martinez, Nicholas Leonard, Howard Buckley, please be ready. And Christina looking strong, trying to keep the bike under control as she comes into the finish straight. And with a 14.63. A lot of our women tonight grouped around that similar time. And this is Rachel McKinnon winding up now. We'll be seeing Rachel racing in our Kieran tomorrow night as well. Certainly a rider to watch in our women's Kieran. And Rachel coming out of the lane a little bit with a 12.18, new fastest time of the night. And this is Gary Morgan out on track now. And Elvis Martinez, other rider out on track as Gary winds it up. And 13.44 for Gary Morgan. And Elvis Martinez out on the track now. Elvis, a relatively new face to the DLV. And looks like relatively new to track racing in general, starting his snap for the 200 a little bit late. But he's making up for it with a turn of speed here. 13.50. And this is Nicholas Leonard. This is riding an excellent old-looking Lightspeed track bike. Stands out in a sea of carbon fiber exotica. And 12.78. .817. Actually, we've got our timing system back up and running. It's just in time for Power Howard to take the track. Howard, the original OG, and by OG, I mean the original overgeared. But now overgeared is the fashion, so I guess he was the pioneer. And 12.163 for Howard Buckley. That is As the new fast time of the night as Frank the Tank Travieso already looking fast before he even starts his windup. It took a long time to get Frank to come over here from Athens to start racing the track, but now that he is, he's lighting it up. Still struggling a little bit with turn 3. And 12.09. Now that we're getting later into the evening, our times are coming down. And Aaron Young starting his windup now. Well, my eyesight isn't as good as it used to be, so I couldn't quite see those flowing locks and the mustache under the Aero helmet. 11.868. Our first time of the night under 12 seconds. I think these next few riders we're going to see these times come down. So Matt Giddings starting his windup, Joe Christensen, Peter Bach, Thompson Ramo. And Matt Giddings going down a little bit soon. And 11.769. So that becomes the new fast time to beat. As Joe Christensen already blistering around the track. Let's see. Yeah, Joe's done his homework. He knows the line. There he goes. He's going to hold that down a little bit better than the other riders. And 11.0196. All right, riders, you've got your work cut out for you. And Peter Bach now up. Now on track. And the speed and the bumpiness of the DLV can be quite shocking to our out-of-town visitors. But Peter's also done his homework on the line. Still struggling a little bit to keep it down. And 11.4. Definitely coming up. Made it a little bit difficult for Peter to keep it down. And Thompson Ramo. Thompson is a familiar face around the DLV. He tries to join us for every Kieran. At least every Kieran that the weather gods allow us to have. And Thompson taking an interesting approach to his line. More of a parabola than a dive into the corner, but we'll see if it pays off. 11.646. So an interesting tactic, one we haven't seen before. And Daryl Christopher winding it up now. Daryl's going to start a little later than other riders, but that's because he is like a rubber band. He is just going to snap and take off. And Daryl's got lots of experience here, and his show's keeping it right down on the black line. 11.54 for Daryl. And last but not least, Nick Ostrike. Nick, a product of both Youth Cycling League and Bicycle Little League before that at the DLV. And struggling a little even though he's an expert here. 11.75 for Nick. And our official, Jason Jones, his thumb is about as good as a digital pressure strip. He dialed it in as the night went on. So all right, so we do not need to have a 5-lap sprint rep for the women, so we're going to give about 5 minutes or so to set the sprint tournament up, and then we will have our 5-lap sprint rep for the men, but the women will not have a sprint rep. So ladies, keep it loose, keep spinning out, keep those legs open. No C racing. All right, please go to the results page at dicklanevelodrome.com to check your results and your time. Remember this, when in doubt, hit refresh. Yes. Those of you who are laughing at that know me from my former days around here at the DLV. When in doubt, just refresh your browser. If you keep refreshing and your placing in time does not improve, it's not the website. So we will have no C racing tonight. So we're going to have our 5-lap sprint rep for the men, and then we will have our women's round 1 sprint. So once we get the sprint tournament set, please be ready for that. Our category B riders shortly after that with 5-lap scratch. So stay posted. All right. Did everybody see themselves on the result sheet? Is their name correct? So we're getting you fixed on the result sheet, Jenna. Sorry about the missed keystroke there. And while we're waiting for the sprint tournament to get started, Steve Hill just put on a great demonstration of how to cross the creek at the DLV without getting your feet wet. Steve, a veteran of the DLV. Amongst Steve's other fantastic accomplishments, not to diminish his cycling accomplishments with his creek crossing skills. And everybody out there in the stands tonight, you can go to dicklanevellodrome.com/results and see the results updated in real time as they happen. There may be some lag time depending on how many words per minute David Schwalbach can type. Okay, so here's your sprint tournament. Seed 1, Joe Christensen. Seed 2, Peter Bach. Seed 3, Daryl Christopher. 4, Thompson Remo. 5, Nick Ostrike. 6, Matt Giddings. 7, Aaron Young. 8, Frank Travieso. And 9, Power Howard. Anybody whose name I did not call, you are in the sprint rep. So please make your way to the boards now. Christensen, Bach, Christopher, Remo, Ostrike, Young, Travieso, and Buckley. If I did not call your name, please make your way to the boards. Okay, one more. Julian Rue making his way to the boards. Anybody else for the 5-lap rep? All right, gentlemen, here's the deal. This is a 5-lap scratch race. The winner and only the winner gets to go back into the sprint tournament if you cross the line first. So all other scratch race rules apply, including occupying the lane in the final sprints. Once you cross the line, please hold your line across the line. Please do not use the track to go up track and slow yourself down, as there may be somebody coming over you. So please don't cross the wheels up. Okay, we're gonna do a full neutral lap, and then we'll give you a whistle on the start. So full neutral lap, please roll away. All right. Hey, parents, just a quick heads up. Let's try to keep our kids off of the roof of the concession building. It is a fragile old building with some rusty pipes. We don't want to have a well situation where we have to fish a kid out of a well either. And we're racing, gentlemen. You're racing. And Nicholas Leonard deciding the best place to be is on the front of the race. He's going to let Johnny Delbridge take up the pacemaking duties now. Behind Johnny, we have Lamont. We have Julian. Behind Julian, we have Max. So Mission Devo Cycling. Myers, then Elvis, then Nick Leonard. And whoa, right on cow. Somebody came down on Michael Tharp. Two laps to go. Riders now watching everybody, seeing who's going to launch first. I'm going to put my money on Elvis, perhaps, with Nick Leonard. Potential second place. He stays in position. Going to be a bit of a slow opening here. And Nick Leonard, the first to really put in a hard, solid move. Johnny Delbridge, quick to react. But Johnny's spinning those junior gears for all it's worth. I don't know if he has any more gear left to spin or legs to spin it with. But let's see. Looks like Nick Leonard is going to hold it to the line. And a hard-fought battle between Johnny and Nick Leonard, with Nick pulling it out at the end. Don't think Johnny's legs could spin any faster, even if you put a motor on them. All right, in our women's sprint tournament, number 12, Rachel McKinnon, you get a bye from Heat 1. And 158. Wait, hold on. We have to straighten this out. So 158, Amelia Hicks, you get a bye. Heat 3, 47. Jenna, you get a bye. So Heat 4, rider number 1, Annalise, and rider 57, Trish Albert. 34, Sophie Zentz, and 33, Christina Pinella. So Heats 1, 2, and 3 get a bye. Heat 4, Annalise and Trish. So rider, please, riders number 1 and riders 57, please head to the ready area of the track. Let's see, Mr. Ostrike, are you going to help hold this evening? Okay. And Steve's coming. All right. So once we get our holders to the ready area, we'll have Annalise and Trish get started. And up track, you have Annalise Ostrike in the red and black kit. And down low, you have Trish Albert in the orange and black kit. So we have a match sprint now. And essentially, that's what it sounds like. It is a just straight up sprint between the two. And usually some sort of tactic is played throughout. I'll point those tactics out throughout the night. Like right there. Annalise got the drop on Trish. Nice little move behind. Had Trish looking up track. And Annalise just dropped down behind her. Hit the brakes, dropped down, then kicked it into gear. And Annalise got a nice little gap. And Annalise can now just hold that gap on Trish. And cruise across the line. Next heat, 34 and 33. So that is Christina and Sophie. Christina and Sophie to the ready area, please. I'm just gonna So after this sprint, we will have our B 5-lap scratch race. So B riders, please be ready. B riders. B riders, please onto the warm-up track. As Sophie and Christina and Sophie getting a little bit of a drop on Christina, but Christina is going to wind it up. Let's see if Sophie can hold it all the way. She's going to push, but no, Christina is going to pull it out. So good job to Christina. And Sophie valiantly trying to hold her off. So 5-lap scratch, B, 5-lap scratch to the boards, please. Yeah, I was calling them just a minute ago. All right, B riders to the boards, post haste, post haste. After our 5-lap scratch, we're going to have our men's round one. Men's round one. So number 60, 89, 48, and 15. Please be ready. 60, 89, 48, and 15. Please be ready. Okay. Category B, men, 5-lap scratch race. I think all of you just did this a few minutes ago during the sprint rep. So same rules, same everything else applies. So guys, please try not to make any sudden moves, and also try not to overreact too much to any sudden moves you might encounter. As long as everybody understands, full lap neutral will whistle you or bell you out of turn 3 if you're all together. Please roll away. Get together, guys. Pull it together, or you're going to do another neutral lap. All right. You're going around again. You're going around again. Get it together. Hey, guys, you're not racing. Neutral lap. Pull it together. Pull it together. Neutral lap. One more time. One more neutral. Pull it together, guys. All right, gentlemen, back to the boards. Back to the boards. Restart. Restart. Next lap. Come back around to the boards. Next lap. Next lap to the boards. Next lap to the boards. Okay, gentlemen, back to the boards, please. Hey, gentlemen, speed it up just a little bit. Speed it up just a little bit. Neutral does not mean slow enough to slide off the track. All right, now we're racing. And Michael Gibson riding at the front. I think he's bringing the average age of this race up by about 11 years. Otherwise, I think it'd be hanging out at about 14. Maybe 15. But Michael's a very strong rider, so he can still show these kids a thing or two. And Lamin at the front. Josh following. Josh probably needs to ride through and then pull up in front of Lemon. It's a way to get things bunched together. Julian Rue taking his turn on the front. And Max pulling the classic accelerates as the rider in front of you pulls off move. Sometimes that's a good way to catch a rider out. Michael Gibson now has moved to the back. He's going to sit back there about 10 meters off the back. Can be a tactic to play where Michael can wind up to full speed and then fly past everybody at full speed so they can't get on his wheel. And getting the bell now, Josh Myers attacks out of the corner using the banking of the track to get additional speed. He had the gap, but he lost a little bit of speed looking over his shoulder there. He keeps looking back, not too sure he's got it. He just needs to go. He needs to not look back. He needs to just keep pushing. Johnny Delbridge and Lamon Wright hot on his shoulders. They're going all the way to the line with Lamon picking up the win. And Johnny Delbridge second, Josh Myers in third. A very hard-fought race. Now we're going into our men's sprint round one. So rider number 60, Joe Christensen, versus 89, Nicholas Leonard. So please be prepared with the holder of your choice. Bring a trailer or bring a holder, one or the other. Christensen and Leonard, please make your way to the ready area. And on deck, please be ready. 48, Peter Bach, and 15, Howard Buckley. Please be ready to go as soon as this round, this heat ends. And Peter Bach and Nicholas Leonard out there. Peter currently riding for Marian University out of Indianapolis. And a decorated rider with the Stars and Stripes bands on the fringe of his jersey, denoting a former national champion. Nicholas Leonard, I believe, is a relatively new rider to track racing and the DLV. He has a nice turn of speed, but I think Peter is going to put on a clinic in sprinting here. And saw some of Peter's tactics from his repertoire of track sprinting. We may see some more creative tactics coming from Peter later on tonight as he progresses through the sprint tournament. But now, sorry, not Peter. Keep talking about Peter. Peter's up next. I meant Joe. Joe Christensen. Peter's up now with Howard Buckley. On deck, number 90 and 35. So Frank Travieso and Daryl Christopher. Please be in the ready area. 48 and 15, Peter Bach and Howard Buckley. Now you're up. And Howard Buckley, also known as Power Howard, as I mentioned earlier, is a crafty rider. He may be technically outgunned by Peter, but Howard is wily. See how Howard plays this. Don't know if Howard can let Peter take him long with that snap. Takes Howard a little time to get up to speed. Let's see how this goes. And looked to be no problem for Peter to handle Howard. So Howard goes into the men's rep. So up now, Daryl and Frank. Daryl and Frank on deck. Number 95, Thompson Remo. And 42, Aaron Young. Aaron Young and Thompson Remo, please be ready to go. And behind that, Nick and Matt. Nick and Matt after that. So I believe I want to call this our and now up is our Island Sensation Heat, or the Tropical Breeze Heat, however you want to call it. Daryl from the Virgin Islands, Frank from Cuba. And Frank has Daryl boxed in pretty good on the boards. And no problem. Daryl riding a little bit smaller gear than Frank. Frank taking a little bit longer to wind it up. Daryl having to go the long way around the track. Looks like Daryl was well relaxed. Had that one in hand. So Aaron Young and Thompson Remo are up next. And Matt and Nick, please be ready. Matt and Nick, please be ready. And after our sprint round ends, we have our women's 5-lap scratch race. So if we could get our women to be ready for the 5-lap scratch after the next heat. And Aaron Young with a nice little fake out right off the line. Looked like he actually had Thompson concerned there for a fraction of a second. And we may have our first, nope, almost had our first track stand of the evening. This is one of our more animated sprints tonight. Of course, Aaron is certainly an animated rider. And let's see who's going to go first. Just as I thought, Thompson going to open it up. Then Aaron quickly puts on a turn of speed. And looking at the video, 95, Thompson Remo collecting that one. So Thompson Remo proceeding to the next round of the sprint tournament. And Nick Ostrike and Matt Giddings. So in a match sprint, depending on who comes up with the ball out of the bag, they can choose to lead or follow. I believe Nick drew to lead, but Matt Giddings decided, or Nick forced him to take the lead at that point. And one of our faster heats. Nick Ostrike likes to go long, likes to open it up fast, go long and force other riders to come up. And maybe a little tire rub going on there. And unofficially giving that one to Nick Ostrike. And on the video, it is confirmed by half a wheel. Okay, moving along in the schedule, we have our women's 5-lap scratch race. So women to the boards, please. Women to the boards. And after this, we'll have our men's rep. So any men who started the sprint tournament from this last round who want back in, we'll have you proceed up to the boards. So women, 5-lap scratch to the boards. Last call for our women's 5-lap scratch. Last call. Okay, ladies, we are going to have a 5-lap scratch race here. Should be pretty self-explanatory. You all look like you're veterans of the track at this point, so you know what a scratch race is. Only thing I ask that you to do is please don't ride up track after crossing the finish line in case a faster rider is coming over the top of you, even if you think you're in front. And lastly, the rider who enters the lane on the sprint lap must stay there unless they have been passed and someone drops in the lane in front of them. Those are the 2 rules that I ask you to just be aware of at this point. We're going to do a full neutral lap and get you started out of turns 3 or 4 if you're all together. So please, no repeats of the B scratch race earlier. Let's make sure we're together and going a little bit like, you know, let's call it a brisk jogging pace. All right. How about that? Okay. Sounds good. All right. Roll away, please. And we're racing. The whistle was blown. So we are now officially racing. And our women riding a tactical race to start out our 5-lap scratch. Sorting each other out and the pace. Jenna Davis hanging off the back and up high a little bit, looking like she might launch an attack. But I think Christina Pinella keeping things tight to the boards as well. If I were Jenna, I would take the opportunity to use the banking right now and dive down under everybody and launch a blistering attack. Would keep everybody on their toes. Seeing 3 laps to go. So right now, based on the group out there, I'd venture to say Sophie is kind of in the worst position to react. So she's got Trish down underneath and yep, over the top. So everybody can go over the top. Now, yeah. Jenna attacking over the top of Christina. That was a nice little move there with 2 to go. We'll see if Jenna has the power to stay away for the whole race. Amelia Hicks looks like she's trying to take up the pace-making duties. And Annalise Ostrike decides in the group that she's going to reel Jenna back in. But did Annalise leave this too late? Jenna's got a nice gap, about 20 meters. Annalise is charging hard, though. Looks like Jenna is going to get caught right into turn 3. And nice move from Jenna, but Annalise catches, reels her in. Christina's on her wheel. See if Christina has anything left for the sprint. And Annalise with the win. Christina second. Sophie in third. Okay, we now have our men's rep. So if you were one of the 5 riders out of the sprint tournament, it is now your chance to get back in it. If you will head up to the boards right now. Yep. Sprint rep. You want back in, Nick? You want back in the sprint tournament? Yeah, why not? Come on. That's the attitude. Why not? As an ossifer of the law, Jason, we have higher standards for that kind of language around here. Do cops even ride bikes? Do you still ride bikes, or do you just ride motorcycles now? Okay, Jason bailed you out. You did ride your bike today. Okay, fair enough. You're probably getting more riding in than I am these days. And we're underway in racing our men's 5-lap rep. 3-lap, 3. Thank you. We're trying to get all official around here at the DLV. Actually make it legit like the rest of the world, even though our track will never be legit. DLV being based on the 1/5 of a mile standard. 5 laps equals a mile. 323.4 meters. So Nicholas Leonard looks kind of spicy right now. He's going to make an attack. This is a bold move in a field like that, but he has quite the gap. That is a nice gap. I think Nick might want to get back in this sprint tournament way more than anybody else. And Howard Buckley doing his best to reel Nick back in. Looks like we're going to accomplish that right on the back straight. Frank Travieso making a move. Matt Giddings. And we're going to go wide around Nick into the finish. Let's see if Howard can hold it on this time. No, Matt Giddings down the stretch. Pulling Howard back. So Matt back into the sprint tournament. Okay, so if we can get 57 and 34 to the boards, please. 57 and 34. Trish and Sophie to the boards, please, for your sprint rep. And after this, we'll have our category A 5-lap scratch. So A riders, please be ready for your 5-lap scratch race. Yes, right now. All right, first Friday night race of the season. We got to get in gear here and get prepared. Talking about the 5 Ps, proper planning prevents poor performance. And Trish Albert and Sophie Zentz out on track right now. Only one can get back into the sprint tournament for the women. And they are doing a pretty standard match sprint for the rep, unlike the men just now. Did full-on scratch race version. So category A, once again, you have a 5-lap scratch coming up, so please be prepared. And quite the cat and mouse going on right now between Trish and Sophie. Good thing we had a fairly early and fairly consistent spring right now, because the DLV can get quite slippery at slow speeds with all the pollen on the track. And Sophie launching hard. Those junior gears certainly helping with the snap. It's quite easy to get overgeared when you're riding that slow. And Sophie looks, nope. Sophie's going to keep pushing all the way down. She is not taking anything for granted. And she pushes all the way to the finish line. How we like to see racing happen. Racing all the way to the line. because you never know. So, Category A riders to the boards, please. Category A riders to the boards. And our biggest field of the night out on the track right now. So pick it up a little bit, Daryl. Pick it up just a hair. And we're racing. In theory. Yeah, it looks like everybody's just kind of feeling it out. Once again, first big track race of the year here at the DLV Pro Race Series. It's the BikeLaw Need for Speed Sprint Tournament. And coming up next is our women's quarterfinal sprint round 2. Heat 1, riders 12 and 34. Heat 2, riders 158 and 33. And Heat 3, riders 47 and 1. So 12, 34, 158, 33, 47 and 1 to the ready stations, please. Or please be ready to go. And Daryl Christopher showing his versatility both as a sprinter and an attacker. Of course, as is announcers Murphy Law, as soon as you talk about a rider, whoa, little dicey there. Daryl wanting to integrate back down into the group, but Nick Ostrike deciding who's going to take that moment to launch an attack, causing for some pucker moments as Nick gets the bell and Joe Christensen taking off after Nick, and Peter Bach coming from a long way back to go over the top of the group and go in. Let's see if Nick can hold it on. And Nick Ostrike pulling it out, Peter Bach, and then Aaron Young, your top 3 there. Top 3 in the money. Getting 25, 15, and 10. So riders 12 and 34. So Rachel and Sophie to the ready area. Rider number 12. Hey, riders, please keep your eyes and ears open for when you're racing so we can keep the program moving along here tonight. I'll be announcing your number, and if you're not sure, please look at the judges' stand for the next heats. No? No? I love you, Howard. I think you're hearing things. All right, Rachel and Sophie. Sophie winning her way back into the sprint tournament. Rachel on her first ride of the evening in the sprint tournament. She had a bye. It looks like it's on from this angle, or was turned on. I see the screen lit up. And a few technical difficulties here, getting this heat started. So next heat, 158 and 33, 158 and 33. So Christina, I believe I see you in the ready area. Good job, way to be on it. And 158, Amelia, please go ahead and make your way to the ready area, Amelia, right here. And Jenna Davis and Annalise, both of you, please be ready to go in the ready area as soon as we get the next heat under the way. Party time. Gonna shed some light on it. All the upgrades at the Dick Lane Velodrome. We now have a lighted finish line. Are those weatherproof, Pete? All right, okay. They've been rained on a couple times. It's still working. In addition, they're collecting some nice cobwebs, so it'll reduce the insect and mosquito population here at the track. Right, and Sophie and Rachel riding. Rachel, a world champion on the track in the Masters category. And Sophie, a proud member of our youth cycling league here. So the present and the future of cycling here. All right. So good job to Rachel McKinnon for winning the first heat of the women's quarterfinal. And now heat 2. So Christina and Amelia. So Jenna and Annalise to the ready area, please. Jenna and Annalise to the ready area. And we have Amelia and Christina out on the track now in their quarterfinal heat. Christina's been racing at the DLV for many, many years now. Amelia still a relatively new rider to the track. And Christina totally gets the drop on Amelia. That was a nice little move. So let Amelia get just a little bit ahead. Then Christina hits the brakes and dives underneath while accelerating. Amelia spinning legs of fury, trying to claw her way back up to Christina. Looks like she's just going to get on terms with Christina as Christina holds off Amelia. It's a well-fought effort from both riders. And last heat, 47 and 1 are on the track. So that is Jenna and Annalise Ostreich. Annalise wearing number 1 as the DLV Rider of the Year. Throughout the year, points accumulate from weekly races and Pro Race Series races. They count towards an overall Rider of the Year. Men's sprint round 2. Thank you. Heat 1, rider number 60 and 18. Heat 2, rider 48 and 31. Heat 3, 90 and 95. So let's get riders 60 and 18 to the ready area, please. 60 and 18 to the ready area, please. And 48 and 31, please be prepared to go to the ready area. This is a tight heat right here. Jenna and Annalise. I think Annalise ultimately has the power here, but Jenna is a veteran of the T-Town track. And Annalise taking that one out over Jenna Davis. So Joe and Matt are up. And Peter and Nick, you are next. Peter and Nick, please be ready. Peter and Nick, please be ready. And Joe Christensen and Matt Giddings rolling away. Matt choosing the slower route, forcing Joe to go down to the apron. Lest he slide off the track. Not a very pleasant thing to do. And Joe, a product of our USA Cycling National Development Program as we gear up for Tokyo 2020. And that is a blistering turn of speed from Joe Christensen. And not going to say it looked easy from Joe, but he certainly handled Matt with aplomb. And now we have Nick Ostrike and Peter Bach out on track. And Nick Ostrike, a product of the Dick Lane Velodrome here in East Point, riding in the Youth Cycling League program. I think he may also have lucked out into participating in Bicycle Little League before we had to change the name on that program. Peter Bach, been named to the Olympic Development Program. Also, getting ready for 2020. So the potential to see some future Olympians here this weekend racing in Atlanta. And this looks like it could be a close heat, but Peter Bach is just absolutely pouring it on, and Nick decides that's just a little too hot for him. And Nick gives it up to Peter, crossing the line for great heat one. And 90 and 95, Daryl and Thompson. So up next, we have our women's 5 to 8 finals. So we need 34, 158, and 42. 34, Sophie, 158, Amelia, and 42. Well, no, that's not right. You're not racing in that race, Aaron. 34 and 158. 34 and 158. You guys are the 5 to 6 final. I think we meant 47, Jenna, not Aaron. 47, Jenna. In the 5 to 8 final. And Daryl and Thompson out on track now. Would like to take this opportunity to bring up the eternal question right now. High socks or low socks? We get a crowd vote on this one. Let's not vote on who's going to win the race. High socks or low socks? No socks? High socks. I don't know. Sounds like the crowd split 50-50 as well. As far as the sprint goes, the longer that Thompson waits on this, the better the chance that Daryl gets. Daryl can snap very quickly and with a very violent acceleration. Based on leg speed, Thompson needs to wind up for a little bit longer. And Daryl gets Thompson to react. But look at that acceleration from Daryl. From 0 to 60 in 10 meters flat. So you got to know your competition, riders. And do your research. A lot of this comes from years of watching these riders, seeing them develop, like Daryl. So women's rep, 34, 158, and 47. So Amelia, Jenna, and Sophie. To the boards, please. Sorry, 5 through 8 final. Okay, riders, after conferring with the officials, this is actually a rep round, not a 5 through 8 final. So we're going to race for 3 laps, and the winner gets back into the sprint tournament. Seeded 4th. Everybody understand? Okay, and then 5th and 6th, that's your placing. That's your final placing. So this is one back in, and then final placing. Everybody understand? If you're all together in turns 1 and 2 this time, we'll blow the whistle. So you'll be racing from the boards if you're all together. Understood? Okay, roll away, please. So after this, we have our men's rep. So riders 18, 31, and 95. 18, Matt Giddings. 31, Nick Ostrike. And 95, Thompson Remo. Your rep is next. And this time around, Jenna works her way back into the sprint tournament. Good job to Jenna. So 18, 31, and 95 to the boards, please. 18, 31, and 95 to the boards. And women, please be ready for your next race. I know you still haven't caught your breath yet, Jenna, but guess what? You get to race again in about 3 laps. You get to race 10 laps. Women's 10-lap scratch. Please be ready to go as soon as these gentlemen cross the line. And Nick Ostrike engages the bobblehead. That's how you know he's winding it up. When that neck starts swinging around and bobbleheading, you know an effort's about to be unleashed. But Thompson Remo and Matt Giddings fighting to get around Nick here. See if Thompson can pull it out all the way. We're going to have to go to the video on this one here. And Nick Ostrike on the official's call. And Nick gets his way back into the sprint tournament. And Thompson and Matt in their nights in 5th and 6th. So women to the boards, please. Ladies to the boards. Amelia, come on. You were right there. Last call for any women who want to race the 10-lap scratch race. And we are racing from turn 1 for our women's 10-lap scratch, longest race of the night. Coming up is our women's sprint final. Sorry, our men's sprint semifinal, and then our women's sprint semifinal. Our women's semifinal 12 and 47. So we may go to the judges on this one. And 33 and 1. Oh, the men are first. Yes, indeed. I said it first, but then I didn't say it correctly. So 60 and 31. So Joe Christensen and Nick Ostrike. And 48 and 90. So Daryl Christopher and Peter Bach. And Annalise Ostrike, always one to race aggressively. And Sophie finding herself on the front of the field right now. She has to put her head on a swivel because she's got riders up, riders down, and riders back. Not a bad move to drop anchor and force the other riders around her. And Amelia Hicks leading them up high just like a pro. And nice little attack from Amelia up in the pace. Staying high above the blue line. Being a little bit smarter than that. And a nice little flurry of activity. And we're all back together. And they're going to get 2 to go this time around. And Amelia Hicks should get the most aggressive rider award in this race if one were being awarded. She has spent a lot of time on the front, making sure this field stays fast as they get the bell with 1 to go. And Christina deciding to open up the sprint. When in doubt, lead it out, as the saying goes. See if Christina can hold it all the way around from Annalise. Sophie is glued right to Annalise's wheel. And it's going to be tight. Let's see. And Annalise taking the victory over Christina in second and Sophie in third. All our riders riding very well. And we'll let the riders clear the track here. And Daryl and Peter to the ready area, please. Daryl and Peter to the ready area, please. Hey, Peter, could we have you get ready, please, for us? Nick trying to goad Thompson into making a move. Got two big guys that take a long time to get up to speed here. Or sorry, not Thompson, Joe. Nick trying to go Jode. And Joe goes again. Way out over the front of those handlebars. And Nick deciding not even to contest. But good job to Nick for getting this far in the tournament so far. He'll get to sprint one more time and a 3-4 final. Okay, our women's semifinal up next. So Rachel, please be ready. And Jenna, you recovered yet? You ready to go again? And Daryl Christopher and Peter Bach. Let's see if Peter has gained any insights into watching Daryl race so far this evening. I think one of the only ways to be competitive against Daryl is to go at him from the start. You got to wind it up fast from the start so that you're at full speed. Daryl doing his best against the big guy. Daryl's going to keep him as high as long as he can. And Daryl deciding the pace just a little too hot for him. Good effort nonetheless from Daryl. An excellent performance by Peter. And we have Rachel and Jenna. And Christina and Annalise, please be ready. Christina and Annalise, please be ready. I believe you are. Good job, Christina. Always on time. And Rachel McKinnon launches. And Jenna fighting valiantly to stay on Rachel's wheel. And Rachel pushes all the way to the line. So good job to Rachel winning that heat. And we'll have Christina Pinella and Annalise Ostrike up next. And Christina decides to lead it out once again. Annalise handily on her wheel, draws alongside. Let's see. Christina might turn on another speed here. And down the straight, Annalise pulls it out in the end. Looked like we might have a good, hard-fought battle there. All right, Category A, 10-lap scratch race. Category A, any A riders still want to do this thing tonight? All right, Category B riders. Category B riders. Hey, juniors. Yes, let's get your attention here. Hey, we're going to move the B 10-lap scratch up to next. Well, be ready anyway, guys. And Nick Leonard attacking from the gun. I think everybody looks at the guy in the field without arrow wheels and goes, he's not a danger. We'll bring him back. Maybe not the best attitude to have, but we'll see if they keep him on a short leash or let him get a little bit of distance. So up next, we have our women's sprint finals. Heat 1 for 3rd and 4th place, 47 and 33. So Jenna and Christina. And then Heat 2, 12 and 1, Rachel and Annalise. And with seeing 6 laps to go next time around, Nick Leonard hasn't exactly gained any ground. And it looks like his legs hit the molasses. And this field can reel Nick in pretty much at will now. And Nick realizes he's done for. He's cooked. He is brisket chopped or sliced, however you want to mention it, but he is now at the back of the field. And now our guys are rotating pretty well. And Frank Travieso, nice little move there. As sprinter Thompson Ramo rotates off, Frank attacks through. Nice move to catch a lot of riders out. Create a nice little gap. Aaron Young was quick to recognize the danger that Frank posed. And Elvis Martinez doing all he can to get across there. He's stuck a little bit in no man's land, but Aaron Young not exactly playing nice with Frank. Frank pulls up to let Aaron pull through. Aaron saying nope. Let me put my necktie of nope on. I'm not pulling through. Elvis still not closing that gap, but meanwhile, Matt Giddings bridging across to Elvis. We basically have 2 riders and everybody else by themselves. So Frank fading a little bit on the front after his attack. I think seeing 1 to go next time around, Aaron is primed to launch off of Frank here. As now we get Matt and Thompson crawling their way back in, and Elvis has left the back of the race here. Aaron sensing the danger of other sprinters breathing down his neck. Frank feeling it too. Frank opening it up. Let's see. I'm going to put my money on Aaron here. Aaron sat on Frank, pulled through right at the right moment. Nicely played tactically by Aaron Young. And good job to Matt Giddings for pulling himself back into the race. Good racing there. Some exciting racing, which we may potentially see tomorrow night. So yes, our women's sprint final, Jenna and Christina, 3 and 4. And Annalise and Rachel, can you guys please be ready? Please to the ready area. That's correct. Third and fourth. That's correct. And Jenna playing a little far back. Kind of initially catching Christina on the wrong side. And who's going to jump first? Who's going? And ultimately, Christina has the launch. And Jenna's put on a good show. Let's see if she can come around Christina and down the stretch. Looks like, oh, Jenna. There's been a lot of racing tonight, so looks like Jenna just has a little bit better recovery. And Rachel and Annalise lined up now. And Annalise starting out with the lead, being forced by the draw to lead at least a walking pace here for our final. So a future world champion, I'll go ahead and be bold and say it, against a current world champion. And Annalise, of course, coming from the Ostrike family of excellent bike racers. And Rachel just slowly winding it up to speed. Annalise not afraid. Annalise draws Rachel out, but then has to go again. However, looks like Annalise is paying for her other efforts throughout the evening tonight. But Annalise is going to drive it all the way to the line nonetheless, with Rachel winning. So congratulations to Rachel McKinnon, the winner of your Need for Speed Sprint tournament tonight. And we're going to call our Bs for a 10-lap scratch to the board. All Bs. All Bs to the boards. All Bs to the boards. The killer Bs. And our B's out racing right now. No numbers needed. We have Josh Myers, Lamin Wright, Johnny Delbridge, Johnny Rhodes Delbridge, Julian Rue, and Max Ostrike. That is your field. That's Johnny, Josh, Max, Lamin, and Julian in that order. All right, so we might liven this race up a little bit. And a couple of laps. The racers don't know it yet, but we are probably going to offer a little bit of pizza money. Basically, one personal pan and one family-sized pizza. The riders don't know when, but not this lap, not this lap. Nope, not this lap. I don't know. The preem gods dictate when the preem bell gets rung. And all right, preem lap, $10 cash preem, $10 cash preem lap, $10 on the next lap. And Josh Myers and Max Ostrike look like they're the ones who want it the most. Lamin hanging in there tight. Lamin's got to find a hole there between Max and Josh to push his way through. But I think Josh is the one who's going to hold on and take this $10. And Josh deciding to continue and press on. That's a good tactic to counteract the counterattack. Doesn't slow Johnny down. Johnny knows this is the time to hit him. When everybody's hurting, you got to keep attacking. And I guess Johnny decides he himself doesn't want to hurt that much. He's not willing to go into that suitcase of courage. He's not willing to put himself into that Home Depot bucket of despair. And everybody recovering from that effort. It was an excellent sprint for the preem from Josh, and way to keep pushing it around the corners to discourage anybody from counterattacking. I think that did just the trick. So we might have to liven it up again here. All right, $20 cash preem, $20 cash preem, gambler preem, $20 cash preem, $20 cash preem. This is going to buy a whole Supreme. And Lamin was leading it out, but Julian comes over the top, takes the $20. And Julian Rue and Johnny Rhodes. Julian putting on a masterclass of attacking through a preem. I think he's going to hold Johnny off all the way to the line. Look at that. Expert performance from Julian Rue and Johnny Rhodes, Jr. And Max Ostrike taking the last money spot there. Oh. Yep, we've got our 3-4 men's final 31 and 90. So Nick and Daryl. Daryl is all ready. Nick, you're old enough not need somebody to hold your hand anymore. And one to go for Nick and Daryl. Both struggled in their last heat. Feeling the effects of a long night of racing. And Nick Ostrike taking that one ahead of Double Barrel Daryl pending officials review. Hey, barman, we confer, or you want to let it stand? All right, and the penultimate event of the night, our sprint final with Joe Christensen and Peter Bach. And yep, getting started up the banking of turn one from a cold start. Quite a little shock to the legs. And Joe winding up, keeping a close eye on Peter, trying to keep Peter switching right and left, up and down. Joe on top of it. Joe coming out of one. He's going to push all the way to the line. Excellent job from our two fastest racers of the night, Joe and Peter. And thank you all for coming out to Sprint Night. Stay posted to the interwebs and the Facebooks about tomorrow. We will make a call about tomorrow's races for sure. As of now, we're still planning on going unless things take a drastic turn for the worse. But at this time, we are still planning on tomorrow happening. So we'll see races start at 3 p.m. with main events, including the carrying, taking place at 6. And racers, payouts are at the bottom of the judges' stairs. These are all payouts, all races, preems included.